I'm Lisa, and I'm the mom half of this duo.
And I'm Shada. I'm Lisa's daughter. And welcome to Two Peas in a Plot, our little corner of the internet where we talk all things books.
We read across genres and love everything from underrated gems to longtime favorites.
And just a quick heads up while we try to avoid spoilers, we do talk about what we liked or didn't. So there might be a few light spoilers along the way just to give you some context.
So if you love stories and want to grow your TBR, hit that subscribe button and join the plot. Hello, everyone. Today's book is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and this was my book club's pick. I'm not one to really pick a popular book, but I'm so glad we read it. It was a really good book. It is a romance book, but I think the cover doesn't show that to me. It doesn't really read astronaut either, but we all think the woman on the cover is, there were half of us that said it was Joan, the main character, or Vanessa, her love interest. And I think it was Vanessa. Half of us thought it was Vanessa, half thought it was Joan. But it does detail Joan's life mostly, and that she's a really, really smart woman. I think she's actually teaching, and she decides to apply for NASA's astronaut program. I think 3 times she gets denied, or the third time she finally gets accepted. And it follows Joan. And the first chapter, I mean, it reels you in. It's the astronauts are up in the atmosphere. I'm just going to call it that, the universe, whatever you want to call it. And they're doing some sort of like payload or some sort of, I don't know what you would call it, some work thing. And these two astronauts, Vanessa and I forget the gentleman's name, I want to say he's Griff. And they come back on the spaceship and they decide to leave the space door open. And this isn't giving anything away. I'll just leave it at that. But something happens where the automatic system goes out and does something for the astronauts. But they're watching from inside the spaceship, but with the door open, this one door that they can have open. And the second, for lack of a better word, rope goes out and this thing breaks apart, whatever it was, and hits Griff, one of the astronauts, and they're not supposed to have the door open. And I guess she immediately closes it. And Houston, mission control, says, Griff is losing oxygen or whatever he's losing, they can tell. And then they also say the spaceship has been hit. So they are supposed to look for this hole and plug it up. And in the meantime, Vanessa's grabbed onto the space suit of Griff and holding it on with her hands. And I could be wrong. It could be someone else, but I want to say it's Griff.
So wait,
Holding
are
on
they outside? Like she shut the door while they're outside of the spaceship
They
or
had
space
come
shuttle?
in the spaceship. I'm going to call it a
I
spaceship.
mean, not spaceship, the station, the space station. Because if
Yeah, I
they were
want
in
to.
a ship, they'd be flying quickly.
Yeah, I guess so. Because it's the same ship that she uses to fly down to Earth.
Oh, okay.
So
Never
I'm
mind
going to
then.
say spaceship.
Okay.
But they're in like a section that doesn't open up to the spaceship. I mean, it does, but it's closed off. So she closes the door and she's holding on with one hand to his spacesuit because there's a hole there. But he's now unconscious.
Oh, I see. She's trying to plug the hole.
With her
Okay.
hand,
Yeah.
holding it, I guess keeping the oxygen inside. And I want to say that's where they leave it. Houston talks to them and tells them some things they have to do, and that's all you know. And then it
At
goes
the beginning of the novel,
to the
right?
beginning of the
Yeah.
novel. Yeah.
That's
And then you go
stressful.
back in time to learn about Joan, and Joan isn't even in this spaceship as far as you know. You don't really know everybody that I remember. I, anyway, it's such a good that got me hooked right there. And then you go back all these years and you find out about Joan's life and her sister, her parents, and then Joan's sister has a child, and Joan just loves this little girl. And then you find out that Joan doesn't really know why she's never been attracted to anybody or had a relationship. And that exploration was done very well. Just lovely the way the author wrote it, I felt. And the book club members thought it was kind of weird that she wouldn't know who she was, but maybe she just accepted the fact that she would never meet anybody that she cared for. But wonderful book. I couldn't wait to get past the part of the past in Joan's life and how she meets all the astronauts and how they go through all the testing, becoming an astronaut, who's the first to go up, and how it was to be a female in the astronaut program. And
So
then
is
Mhm.
this historical? Sorry to interrupt you.
No, go ahead.
Is this, and I'm so sorry too. I've been sneezing.
I
I've
know.
been listening, but I've been sneezing. You can probably see me in
I see
the,
you go down
yeah.
visually, damn, but the noise cancellation was excellent.
Oh, I muted
Or you
myself just
muted
to
it.
make sure. Yeah. I was sneezing real hard, so I probably sound a little nasally. Um, so is this historical fiction? Like, does this take place in the 80s or something, or does it take place now?
You are correct. It takes place in the 1980s NASA space shuttle program. So it's not a true story, so they don't give you like
Right.
a space shuttle name or anything.
But
But it
that's pretty cool. And I guess I could see too, like, if she's struggling with her romantic identity and like, I mean, I can see if she's struggling with her romantic identity and like what gender she's attracted to, who, like, I know some people are just attracted to people, like specific people, they're bisexual or pansexual. And I can imagine too in the 80s, I know people were sort of becoming more accepting, but it's still very kind of like I could see maybe, oh, I don't want to be that because it's not easy to function in the world like this. And especially in such a male-dominated, regimented environment like NASA, especially in the 1980s. And I know like just hearing the I because of course I love space. I think I wanted to be an astronaut when I was little for a little bit. And the things that you have to do to like I know a lot of astronauts are like ex-military and then also like physicists and there's a lot of physicality to it too because you lose when you go up into space you lose so much bone mass and
Yeah.
muscle mass. But um I'm going on a lot. I just thought I wanted to ask if it was historical because I think that also gives some context. But
Mm,
that also sounds really frustrating that it's like here's a huge cliffhanger at the very beginning. Now let's go back in time to a slower paced section.
I wish, and that's just me because I wanted to know what happened. It made me kind of want to rush through the going back in time. I wish there wasn't so much of that, although she did it really well. And it got less and less time in between the present time, but she couldn't. I understand why she had to have less of those chapters or that information, but towards the end is when everything really went real fast. And I wish I could tell the ending. It was phenomenal, and I boo-hooed
Oh,
big
wow.
time. But it wasn't like some of the previous books I've read where it was depressing. It was just a lot of emotion at once, and that's just the way that was going to be. I think that's why I never was attracted to it because I knew it was a love story and I heard it was emotional, especially towards the end. But you brought up a good point when we were talking in our book club that it was very male dominated, and anyone, at least in this book, and I assume it's kind of focused on the truth. If you were in the military and you were a pilot, you got to pilot a space shuttle. But if you're a civilian like Joan and Vanessa, I don't know about Vanessa, but Joan was a civilian, but she was extremely smart. And they have these different positions that you take. And I forget what hers was, it's way over my head. But you focus on certain things when you're in the space shuttle, what you do. But she could never fly a space shuttle. Not that she wanted to, but I know Vanessa did. And her trainer would allow her to pilot, and she was a civilian pilot. But because she wasn't in the military, and back then in the military, I think a woman was not allowed to fly a plane. I I
Because
I don't know for a
because of
fact.
course women can't fly planes.
So there was never going to be a woman
Pilot.
pilot. Yeah.
Yeah. That's very interesting. Well, I told you too that kind of cutting back and forth between present and past, and or that first jarring like, wait, what?
Yes.
Um, if anyone listening is a gamer and has played The Last of Us Part 2, I know I mentioned this, but you go through a good chunk of the game, like maybe 10 hours playing as one character, and then at like the most intense moment where these two characters that are essentially trying to kill each other, they're looking for each other, trying to kill each other. They finally meet face to face, and then it immediately cuts to black, and you switch and you're
Oh,
playing as the other character
I
for
heard y'all
another
talk
10
about that.
hours.
Hmm.
And it is so. And at first, I was rushing through. I'm like, no, I gotta get back to, because especially when you play it the first time, you don't know when you're gonna get back to that
Yeah.
original point of view. And yeah, it's a really, really excellent and also really frustrating tactic to get you hooked
Hmm.
because it works really well because you have to get back to the thing that you want to know what happens. So you have to get through. And then, I mean, with The Last of Us, because I haven't read this book, but it sounds like I need to read it. With The Last of Us, by the time, I got 2 or 3 hours into this second character's perspective, I was super invested in her story too.
Yes.
So it's like, wow, there, this is a huge tangent, but the developer recently pushed out, well, I don't know how recently, especially because we're recording way ahead of when this episode is going to go out, but sometime in either late 2024 or early 2025, they pushed out an update to the game, a free update where you can play chronologically.
Mhm.
And I don't think that's I think it's interesting. I think it would be an interesting like case study in narrative structure because I'm a huge nerd. But I think that game is like flawless in terms of storytelling and structure, the way it is. So I'd be very interested to play it chronologically, but I don't know that it would have the same impact. And now it's impossible to say because I've played it a million times because it's one of my favorite games. So I know all the beats, I know all the
Yeah.
things that are happening. So I wish there were a way I could simulate, like, okay, I've never played this before. How do I react when it's presented in the original format? How do I react when it's presented in chronological order? So that I wonder if you can kind of think, I know it's hard to think about, but if this book had been chronological, do you think it would have had the same impact?
No.
Oh, that's
The
interesting.
only reason why I say that is because they're like cliffhangers. Because I will say after the first chapter, and again, I don't think it's giving anything away, maybe, but I think a lot of people read this. But the last, and I can't remember who spoke, but that person goes, I think I'm the only one alive on the ship. So you don't know who's dead. And you go for many chapters. You go through Joan's life and how she got to become an astronaut, I think. But then after a while, you kind of forget. But then I started noticing, probably middle point, I started counting. That's probably just me as a reader. I started counting how many chapters I had to go before I got to present time again because I really wanted to go back to that. But maybe that was the draw too, to get through all that. And I did enjoy learning more and more about the characters, the relationship from everybody, the sister, the niece, and you also learn about the other astronauts. how they're not so much their relationship, but how they blend with Vanessa and Joan. And then they go out a lot. They're a team, so they do things a lot together. And they're in this school like for a year, I think, and do all these tests, kind of like what your brother did.
Oh
But it,
yeah, this kind of like I don't want to say brotherhood, but like siblinghood of hey, we're all in this together for a long
mhm,
time.
yeah, and
That's
they
pretty
test
cool.
together. It was really neat. It was really
That's very
interesting.
interesting.
So I looked up some information on kind of historical first woman in space. And I kind of knew this, but I was so surprised when I found this out later. But Valentina Tereshkova from the Soviet Union was the first woman in space. And believe this, it was June 16th, 1963. I didn't know it was. And then 20 years later, we had Sally Ride was the first American woman in space on June 18th, 1983, and that was aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. And I think I'm not sure when she passed, but she came out being in a gay relationship for 27 years, but it was kept very quiet. And in the book, they reference that.
I was
They,
gonna ask you because I knew Sally Ride was gay, and I was
I
wondering
didn't
like
know
maybe
that.
they were inspired, like the author was inspired to kind of integrate that because I'm sure that must have been really difficult for her to, especially keep that piece of her life so quiet. That's like a
Well,
core
yeah.
element of your identity.
Her sister, I read up a little bit before we got on this. Her sister said that she was a very private person anyway, so it was easy to do. She didn't really like to talk about anything but being an astronaut, period. That was it. But I think this author, from what other people have read, other books, I can't remember what it's called, but it's inspired, I think is what the word, by a previous book by Liz Taylor, Elizabeth Taylor. And this one, I haven't heard that it was inspired by, but I would think Sally Ride would have had some inspiration to her book. But I thought that was pretty interesting. And you really didn't know, or I didn't, that Sally Ride was gay until she passed. It was referenced.
I think the only reason that I know is because she passed in 2012, so it's been many
Okay,
years.
that's why
So
you
I
know.
guess the information has been out for a while,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I mean, I don't think I obviously didn't know until at least 2012. And you
Yeah.
just hear about like, isn't there a song about Sally Ride because her name is so cool and it's like Ride Sally Ride?
Yes. I didn't
And
know if it was after her or not. I'm thinking, oh, is that
oh yeah,
after her?
I think it was like in her honor kind of,
How
or
neat.
because she's the first American woman in
Right.
space.
And she's got that cool name to go with
Yeah,
it.
exactly. It's like, oh, that's awesome. Um, that is very interesting that, of course, the Russians beat us
I know.
with,
But
with at least having
20
a woman in
years
space.
having a
Yeah.
woman, that's
I
I don't
feel like
know.
that says a lot about our culture
Yeah.
overall, about
Yeah.
how we prioritize or perhaps deprioritize certain people in certain
Hmm.
fields. But that's very cool. I did, this is, I'm not going to go into it too much because it just totally upsets me. And I know we were talking the other day. I was like, I realize now what anything about animals upsets
Oh
me.
yeah.
But Laika, the space dog, she was
Hmm.
a street dog in Russia, and she was so sweet that the Russians trained her and sent her to space, knowing she wasn't going to come back. They just,
Oh.
but we did that too. We did that
Oh.
with fruit flies and also a chimp.
Oh, I
And
feel
I
bad for
think,
the chimp, not the fruit flies.
yeah, no, I know the fruit flies are alive, but they're very irritating when they're in the kitchen. So I have a lot less
Yes.
sympathy. But yeah,
Yeah.
there's so many I know a lot of people name their, she was like kind of a husky looking dog. She
Hmm.
was a mutt, but I know a lot of people name their dogs after Leica in her honor
Oh,
because oh my God, she's so cute. I gotta share my screen.
yeah, I kind of
Um,
remember that.
Look at her little face. Look at this little
Mm.
girl. I guess she doesn't look like a husky, but look at her.
Oh,
Isn't she
she's
cute? And see,
cute.
here's a memorial for her.
Oh, that's so sad.
And she's in her little outfit. Yeah.
Poor little
She's on
thing.
stamps.
Hmm.
So I know she's very honored,
Yeah.
but uh you could have done whatever you wanted to do without putting a dog in
Mm-hmm.
the
Or at least let him
in the
come
capsule.
back. I don't know.
Well, I think they didn't have the technology to like they were just trying to see can we get into space?
Right.
I mean, I don't know enough about it to know exactly what technology
Why they
existed, but
did
it
it.
was like, yeah, it was a test where they knew like we're not worried about reentry and landing and recovery,
Mm-hmm.
which is just barbaric. But um but I still find space so interesting and terrifying.
I do too. I always wanted to go into space when I was younger because I wanted that lifeless feeling to just float around. But after hearing where,
L
you know,
Lifeless or weightless?
weightless, you know me, I've
What
changed
the
that English language
You're
around the
just
way I
changing the
feel like it.
words. Yeah.
You're my
Weightless.
interpreter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, weightless feeling because I love rides where your stomach goes up and then down. I
Oh
don't.
yeah. I don't know
Although
why.
visually to see a roller coaster going way up and then going down, that scares me to death. But the feeling, I don't have a problem with the motion. I kind
I
of like
I
that.
that I love roller coasters, but the anticipation when you're climbing like on it, it's like, ooh, 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 my goodness.
I
I'm
couldn't do
kind of
it.
scared.
Maybe when I was younger. I don't even know if I did it when I was younger. I think they've gotten scarier nowadays. It's interesting. Sally Ride had said, you can't be what you can't see, and how important it is to represent careers like science and space and maybe women in those positions. And I think I pulled up recently the new candidates for the class of astronauts that NASA announced. And there are, I can't tell, it looks like at least 4 or 5 women in the class
That's
or
awesome. Well,
of
how big is the
candidates. So
class?
there's more women than men, I believe.
Oh, that's very interesting. That has certainly changed.
Yeah, let's see. Got you have 6 women and 4 men as candidates. And I think, yeah,
That is
I
very
think that's
cool.
awesome.
Yeah.
And it looks like you have some that were in the military. I don't know if that still applies that they can't be pilots. Not that everybody wants to be a pilot, but how cool. I hope they all make it
Yeah, that's
and
awesome.
get through class.
I remember reading too, like even for men, like in the early um, iterations of the space program, NASA would build these like prefab structures, and like they didn't make it to fit the astronauts. The astronauts had to fit like the seats
Oh,
and everything, so there
mm-hmm.
were height requirements and weight requirements, so they fit the equipment essentially. And I'm sure that's changed to a degree too, but
Yeah.
that was very limiting. Like even if you were a man, a star pilot, all this stuff, if you were like 5'9", well, you weren't 6'2", so you didn't get to be or whatever
Yeah.
the
Requirement
like,
was.
yeah. But
I couldn't be an airline stewardess. I think
you
that's what
too
we call them.
short.
I was an inch too short and I wanted to be one so bad.
That
But back
seems
then
like
you had to be 5'3".
that is so weird.
I don't
Why?
know. I don't know if it's because
So
the
you could reach
overhead.
the the overhead bins?
I mean, I can reach it now, but if my suitcase goes way back, it's kind of hard.
Oh, I can't reach. I can
No,
reach
you
it,
wouldn't
but
be
yeah,
able to.
I can't. Yeah, for our listeners, I am 4'11". I am very short, but
But
Yeah,
you're
if my
wearing heels for the
yeah, which
most
is
part.
also an issue too for foot health.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I don't think now they require it. You can wear
No,
more
they don't.
comfortable shoes, but back then I think you had to wear heels.
Yeah.
I was kind of afraid of going away from home to go to the school because back then I think it was in Florida. I don't know if all
Oh,
the airlines, because we had maybe three. I don't think there was like Pan Am, American, and I don't remember what else we had. But
Concord.
what was it?
Concord? Is that a thing?
No, I think that's a type of
That's a
plane.
type of plane. Yeah.
Mhm.
You see how much I know about airlines.
I think Shada, you would like this book. I liked it a lot, and
Yeah,
I'm
it
so
sounds like
glad.
something I need to read.
Yeah, I've got the ebook, but it was super good. Well, anyway, this book was fantastic. I hope you all pick it up, or if you haven't already read it, it's really good. Well, we appreciate you hanging out with us. Thanks for being here and talking books with us.
And if you love stories and want to grow your TBR, hit that subscribe button and join the plot with us. See you in the next chapter.
Bye.
Bye.